Blog Talk Radio, the world's largest online radio network.
Welcome, guys, to another episode of Fit Physique Radio, show number 50. Wow, man, 50 shows. Seems like only yesterday we started doing the Fit Physique Radio show, and I'm really excited that we've made it 50 shows so far, and hopefully at least another 50 more. Holding it back in the back tonight is, like always, Sarah Soubliere and Reggie, the Relaxation Cat. So, once again, it's a great evening, Monday night, August 27th, just after post-tropical storm Isaac rolled through. I don't know if it's a hurricane now or what's going on, but it hit Ormond Beach a little bit, and not much action, just a little bit of rain, and just wind and stuff, and some waves. So it's been a pretty good day overall. We're very blessed. We never lost power. Tonight's show, I'm really looking forward. We're going to have Randy Tyner joining us tonight, finally. Randy's a bodybuilder. He lost his arm. He's also sponsored by Gasberry products, and Randy's going to be coming on talking about his bodybuilding career, what he's been up to lately. Canadian IFBB Pro 212 competitor Lou Joseph will be calling in and talking about what he's got going on way up there in Canada, and we're going to see what Big Lou's been up to. And then also calling in tonight, she's prepping for the North Americans. Christine Smithers will be joining us. She's competing in the women's physique class, so she'll be calling in the last half hour of the show. So I'm looking forward to a great show, and I'd like to give a big shout out to my sponsors.
Feel the surge. Advanced Genetics.
Access granted.
Committed to formulating innovative and high-quality nutraceuticals.
Their products do not hide behind proprietary blend or chase the newest fad.
We design them using perfect combination of science and real-world experience.
All of our products are manufactured in a quality-controlled GMP facility utilizing only the highest potency pharmaceutical-grade raw materials.
Check out the new products from Advanced Genetics Pride, Alpha, and F10.
Go to advancedgenetics.ca
and get the genetic advantage today.
That's right, big shout out to Chris Johnson, Advanced Genetics Army. Guys, check it out, advancedgenetics.ca. Best supplements out there. GP3 and the Nitric Impact will rock your world. And I got to tell you guys, it's just been part of my program for the last 14 weeks of prep, and I can't imagine doing it without the support of a great sponsor, and also the love and great support of just an amazing wife. And I'm so blessed to have everything rolling. A little bit of disappointment over the last few weeks, with not being able to, make it get in shape for these, the Dexter Jackson and the Floridas. And, it's been 14 weeks of, hard dieting, another 4 weeks left, and then I will be making my Masters debut and be competing in the Open for probably my last time in the Open class at September 22nd, the Battle on the Beach, Daytona Beach NPC Classic, September 22nd, Peabody Center. And I competed at that show last year, lost to the overall winner, and it was just a great experience, and it was just a pleasure. Mike Matassa puts on a great show, and just an honor to be able to compete and bring my best package to date. I'm so excited. I do believe that I should be in the best shape of my life come September 22nd. Right now I'm floating around 230-ish, 228, fluctuating. I feel like I'm in the best condition at this point of the show prep that I've ever been into and the biggest I've been into. So I'm really happy with that. I know I got to kick it in high gear as usual. So I gave myself a couple, probably like 10 days of, eating some carbs. So now I'm back on the keto, basically full tilt, and back on the double sessions of cardio and training. And really, I'm just going to put all the effort into, to being my best. And, what it's all about when you compete, is to be your best, compete against yourself, not other people, man. And once again, every week after a show, man, it's the same BS. People posting pictures. Why didn't I win? Why didn't I win? Tell me who should have won, blah, blah, blah. Of course, you're posting pictures on your Facebook, and if it's your Facebook friends. So, of course, what are they going to tell you? They're going to tell you that you should have won. But the bottom line is, guess what? It's a judgmental sport. It's an opinionated sport. So if you don't win because someone beats you that might be better and you can't handle that, then I suggest that you pick up a different sport. Bodybuilding and figure, fitness, bikini, whatever, it's not for you. Because on Sundays, nothing sucks worse than hearing crickets from people that were bragging about themselves leading up to a show, and then all of a sudden, you don't hear anything from them but, I got ripped off, I didn't do this, blah, 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 politics, yada, yada, yada. Listen, it's bodybuilding, guys. It's a judgmental sport, and that's what we're in, man. And you know what? It takes it away from the classiness of sports, being a good sportsmanship, and you know what I mean? Don't take it away from the person that beat you. I've been in over 21 shows, and I've dealt with politics, competing against presidents and vice presidents of federations and stuff. And, I felt that sometimes I didn't get a fair shake, but you know what? That's bodybuilding. It's judgmental. Time and time again, I hear people that, do a level 3 show and then they talk about getting their pro card. And, it's just really a pipe dream. And even if you get your pro card, where's that going to go? It doesn't, people that think they're get the pro card and that people are going to come out and just, run out of, everywhere to sponsor you. Like, people, trust me, it's a pipe dream. You have to have a backup plan. I wish everybody the best of luck with everything they do, as far as competing and stuff. But the bottom line is you have to stay humble. And, I just ran into that situation with a client this week. She's getting ready for nationals. And I had to tell her, nationals aren't for you right now. You don't have the size, the shape. And at 11 weeks out from nationals, you don't have the conditioning and the muscle mass. So this person told me that, well, thanks for helping me. I'm going to get a new coach, which, I respect that decision. But people, you win a show, which you have 2 or 3 people in a low caliber, even if it's a level 5 show, and you win, look at who you're beating. People got to understand it's like a whole different level when you go to nationals. And I guarantee this girl I'm talking about, come November, won't even make top 10. Won't even make top 10. And no offense to her, but it's just the way it is. I'm a realist. I know my physique. I'm glad I missed the Floridas, even though I didn't think the Masters over 40 guys were, top notch, but they were great. And the open guys, unbelievable. Light heavyweight class, the heavyweight, the supers, the middleweights, man, all those class winners this year at the Floridas, great, great, great competitors, man. Hats off to those guys. I know level 4 is where I'm at, and that's where, I'm going to progress and then take a few years and, maybe go to the Nationals Masters scene when I'm ready. But, one thing I'm not going to tell you is if I happen to have win a level 4, you're not going to hear it come from my lips the next weekend that I'm training for my pro card. You know what? because it doesn't happen. And when people go to nationals, they really get a wake-up call. And like Pete Flancher was saying last week, people really, really, just really miss the whole shit, man. They miss it. They miss the whole what bodybuilding's about. It's about fun. It's about competing. It's about being better than what you were before. It's about, having fun. And, no, the process isn't fun. And everybody wants to win. And everybody suffers, man. Shelby Starnes said it the best, do whatever the overall winner would do. And in that aspect of things, if you get beat by a better bodybuilder that day, or a better fitness, physique, figure girl, bikini, whatever, go back to the drawing board, take your lumps, work harder, and come back and bring a better package. There's no sense of bragging yourself up and talking, how many friends will, because trust me, Facebook, it's nice to have you're posting your pictures. I post pictures every day. People are very, very complimentary. But I know at the end of the day, when I get on stage with a really, really good competitor, it doesn't matter what my Facebook friends say. It doesn't matter what my buddies at the gym say. It matters what the judges say. And if someone's better than you at that show, then so be it, man. Go back, train, and work hard. Because if you're just going to complain about the placings and cry about politics, then bodybuilding's not for you, man. And you hear it time and time again, even at the pro level. And, it just takes away from the wins, just like last weekend, at the Canadian Nationals. There's no way, in my opinion, that the guy that won the super heavyweight should have won. But it's bodybuilding, and of course it's political. But once again, you got a guy like Ron Parlow, 7-time runner-up, 7-time. And you don't really hear this guy, talking crap about getting ripped off, and, he carries himself like a champion, and he'll be, competing at the North Americans, this year in the over 35 and in the Super Open. So, hats off to Ron for just, putting his nose to the grindstone and continue on just working and working and working hard, man. That's the key. And, it's just amazing. People can just, stick to their game plan and continue on without having to toot their horn. And, I guess that's the bottom line. I've been in this bodybuilding game for, 20 years, and, I just wish people had more, were more humble about their achievements. And, that just, it gives people a better perspective on bodybuilding and a little more respect, So prep's going good. As you can tell, I got a little rant going off, a little more aggressive tonight. Take away the carbs after a couple days, and brain starts to fry, and the mood gets a little bit bad. But so what's been going on this week, man? That whole Lance Armstrong bullshit, and I say that with the utmost respect, but the USADA seems to want to be stripping Lance Armstrong of his medals and his 7 Tour de France victories. I mean, the United States and this anti-doping agency, man, really, really has, made it to a point where, Lance Armstrong has never failed a drug test. And, enough's enough, man. And, like he said, it comes to a point in a man's life where you got to say enough's enough. And this is just taking a toll on his family, his work, and all the work in his foundation. It just, every day, it's some kind of battle. And Lance just gave up on, on the battle. I mean, it's just not fair that they can put you in such a situation, that a guy that has 7 titles, a bronze medal at the 2000 Olympics, all these titles and money he won from 1998 and on, they're trying to take all that away from him. And, you know, it's just crazy how the government just gets involved in this and trying to tarnish a great athlete's, you know, his whole reputation, trying to ruin it, man. You know, so what? You know what? Lance passed the drug test that he had to pass. Guys failed, and they fail. You know what? This is sports. If you're one of those people out there that are sitting there listening to the show right now and going, I didn't know Lance Armstrong took, you know, any kind of in sports enhancement drugs, or really, why would he have to do that? He's such a good cycler. Because he wants to be the best, and the best athletes do whatever it takes to be the best. And that's just the way it is, man. It's a sad, sad truth, but you know, that's the way it works in sports, man. Guys just want to be at their best, and they're going to you know, they're going to be at they're going to do whatever it takes, man. I mean, if you know, they did a stat on you know, kids that if they you know, could win a gold medal or be the best in their sport, and after it took a drug to get there, and 5 years later they would die. You know, a high percentage of these kids said they would do this. You know, so, you know, I just gotta, you know, you just gotta put things in perspective. I mean, as you get older, you know, now myself being 40, I realize, you know, yeah, back when I was 20, you know, live a wild life and, you know, make mistakes or whatever. But, you know, you got to realize there's more to life than just, you know, you know, putting yourself at harm's way. And not saying these guys are putting themselves at harm's way. Most of the abusers of sports enhancements aren't even the winners. It's the guys chasing after the Lance Armstrongs. And, you know, but don't be gullible. The best of the best are cheating, and it's not really even cheating because everybody's doing it. It's really a level playing field, but people in the media, they want to, you know, spend billions of dollars to find out if Roger Clemens took steroids or Barry Bonds is on steroids. You know, quite obviously, by just, you know, looking at Barry Bonds and seeing, you know, how his physique has evolved, his helmet size have grown. I mean, it's just quite obviously he's taking some kind of supplementation that's not legal in the eyes of the IOC or, you know, Major League Baseball, what have you. So, you know, my opinion on that is, you know, I wish there wasn't drugs involved in sports, but there is. And you take it away and make it harder for the Americans to compete. And meanwhile, the drug testing over, you know, in other parts of the country are a joke. I mean, and, you know, I could rant and rave about that for the whole show on how, you know, some of these guys, you know, like the number one sprinter in the world, how he gets drug tested and how that whole process goes. You know, Victor Conte really broke it down, you know, and, you know, told everybody basically how they pass these drug tests and, you know, how they fail certain times of the year, but, you know, peak clean for the world championships. And it's just a game, man. And it's a game. And here you have guys here that, you know, never have failed a drug test, but, you know, you're going to take away all this guy's accomplishments. And, I mean, Lance, God, I mean, he's just done it all. And I'm not a cycling fan, you know, and I'm not really even a huge Lance Armstrong fan. You know, I like, you know, what he's done for cancer research and how he's made a comeback. But, you know, I'm just not a big fan. But, you know, when it comes to, you know, these people and, you know, these politicians are the heads of this, you know, this doping agency. I don't know, you know, what they're thinking. You know, just it's sad that they would put a person in this predicament, and you know, it just seems like they have this system deliberately designed to just, you know, for so many insurmountable hurdles, you know, in the way for these athletes to defend themselves, And, evidence over the years have emerged by the World Anti-Doping Agency, the WANA. And they have analyzed, all his results, and he's always come back clean. So, so once again, the USADA is going to strip Lance Armstrong of his Tour de France victories and, just try to tarnish this good man's name. So it just, once again, there's your government for you. Let's find out how much drugs Barry Bonds on, but let all the people starve and let all the homeless people, die on our street corners. But worry about spending $50 million on if Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds took steroids. It just makes absolutely no sense to me. It's absurd. Anyway, also in the news, we got 5 weeks out to the Olympia, looking like Jay Cutler is out for sure. Victor Martinez announced that he's been out, but now it's wishy-washy. You're hearing, is he going to compete? Is he not going to compete? So, Victor supposedly told MD he's not doing the Olympia. Something about the New York Pro, maybe the Arnold next year. I think that's a smart move for both guys. I think this year with the top 6, honestly, the way I see it, the way Phil's been guest posing and looking, the pictures, and, all Phil has to do is beat Phil, and I think Phil is going to beat Phil. And, I'm really looking forward to seeing the Olympia this year. It's really, really going to be exciting. You got 5 weeks, and I love this time, especially when you're dieting for a show like, the Daytona is a week before the Olympia. Then, the next show I have, the Southeastern USA's, which is on the Olympia. But it's really just neat to, see these guys, competing at the same time you are. So you follow, and, it's motivating. It's on a different level, mind you. You're looking at pictures of yourself, and then you see pictures of, like, Kai Green, Phil Heath. It's like, you're like, wow, man, am I actually even working out? So, but got a couple shows in September leading up to the Olympia, and we got we have the IFBB St. Louis Pro, which is going to be on September 15th. And then we have the IFBB Pro Show. It's the Gold Cup, September 7th and 8th. And it's called the Valtini Gold Cup. And that's going to be in Sarasota, Florida, man. And really looking forward to that show. I know it's going to be a big one. It's nice to see another IFBB Pro show here in Florida. Really looking forward to seeing that contest, especially in the your neck of the woods. It's always nice to see pro bodybuilding in South Florida. So we're going to be right back with another message from one of our other sponsors, X-Pain, and Tony Freeman, just rolling around, getting ready for the Olympia, the Spain show, and the Masters Olympia. So hats off to Big Tony Freeman.
Everyone has that pain that nags you in the ass all the time.
You're just a lazy little
keeping you from getting on with your day. Time to knock it out with X-Pain.
what?
That's right, X-Pain by Tony Freeman. X-Pain is a revolutionary new way to relieve workout pain fast.
You'll never get rid of me.
Spray it on, rub it in, and get back to work. It doesn't get hot. It doesn't get cold. It's not oily. It's 100% natural. Just spray where it hurts, and in minutes, you'll be pain-free. Visit xpainspray.com and knock out the pain now.
son of a bitch.
I got to tell you, X-Pain spray, man, it's been a godsend. My shoulders they haven't felt better in years. No muscle soreness. I got to tell you, it's just a remarkable product. I recommend it to anybody that's dealing with a muscle soreness, nagging, something that's through working out. It's not going to cure a big injury or anything, but it's good for arthritis. It's good for that muscle soreness, and if you're putting Icy Hot on it, switch to X-Pain, and you will never ever use anything again. Check out the website www.xpainspray.com. So, in other news with bodybuilding this week, we have Ronnie, Mr. Coleman, signing with MD, and that's a big news. Steve's hooked up Ronnie, so we'll have to see what's going to go on with Ronnie Coleman. Will we see Ronnie Coleman back on stage again? I don't think so, and if we do, I don't think we'll see the remembrance of what was one of the greatest Mr. Olympias of all time. Also, we had in the IFBB action, IFBB Pro, it was the Muscle Heat 212 class. You got Curtis Bryant actually won the show. Second place, Tricky Ricky Jackson. Tricky, man, really bringing it the last couple weeks. Third place, Guy Cisternino. And, Guy looked great. That was a really good show for the top three guys. Big shout out to AG Army teammate Rob Blysley. He placed sixth, and I do believe he beat the fifth place guy the week before, but yeah, Rob looked really good, hard, has a chiseled physique, also works with Coach Palumbo, which I'm working with, and Rob really brings a great conditioning, and it was just great to see one of my teammates do really well, and just nice to see everybody out there in full force. So I think there's another 212 class at the Sarasota show, and I do believe that's it as far as qualifying for the Olympia. So I know that Sarasota show is going to be really stacked with a lot of great competitors. So in Florida, we had the Lakeland City Championships this weekend, and smaller show. They give out a really nice trophy. They gave out a sword. It's a great warm up, and the overall winner, he looked great. Usually these guys float over to the Daytona Beach, so looking forward to all the competitors popping over to the Daytona Beach Classic, which is going to be on September 22nd at the Peabody Center. You can check out Facebook/Daytona Beach Classic or www.DaytonaBeachClassic.com for all the information. It's a great show. It's on the beach. What better time you could spend on a Saturday night going to a bodybuilding show on Daytona Beach, and then just having a relaxing evening on the beach, and it's just going to be awesome. And upcoming shows in Florida, we've got on the Saturday, Royal Palm Classic NPC Championships. This is a level 4A show, and it's going to be in Cape Coral. And if you guys want any information, you can call Calvin Choi area code 239-947-7327. And speaking of calling, we got the chat line open. If you guys, anybody out there listening, we're going to have a new segment here. You guys want to call in, talk bodybuilding, training, whatever, you can call me at 347-308-8954. That's 347-308-8954. Call me. We'll talk shop. Well, I'm really excited. North Americans coming up this weekend in Pittsburgh. It's going to be a great one, man. Usually this show's in Cleveland, but it's in Pittsburgh this year, and really stoked about this. The show's going to be really jacked since the North Americans really added the Masters class. You know, you got some really great competitors showing up at the Open and the Masters class. You know, some of the top guys that I've been watching, you know, and who knows who's going to be jumping in the show. You know, you can always, there's always a dark horse, but for the majority of the big players out there, the supers look like a pretty stacked class. You got, you know, Nick Triagli. He's the favorite, I think, going into the show. You know, placed second at the USA's. Stephen Fraser ended up winning that show, so Stephen's off into the IFBB. So it opens things up for Nick. You got Dan Decker also looking at his best. He's actually doing the over 35 and the supers. Max Charles, if he can hit it, you got him in the mix. Also, Canadian, as I mentioned earlier, second place at the Canadian Nationals. In my opinion, no offense to Antonio, but if you check out the video I posted on my Facebook, you can clearly see Ron wins. He's much bigger, harder. And like I said earlier, man, you know, it's bodybuilding, so it's judgmental. So quite obviously, the judges didn't feel the same way. So it's easy for us to sit back and go, hey, he looked good here, blah, blah, blah. And this is a video you can check out on my Facebook, Craig Soubliere, you know, Facebook. I'll post it to our Fit Physique like page. You guys can check it out. And, you know, you can see, quite obviously, Ron is the furthest to the left. And, you know, you can see he quite won, you know, but he didn't, you know. And, you know, that makes him 7th time runner-up. 7th time he came second place. Almost close to get a pro card. Won his weight class in the 2007 Canadian Nationals as a super and didn't get his pro card because that year is like they don't give pro cards out for every class they give. I forget how it works exactly at the Canadas, but you win your class and then the overall winner gets a pro card and then they give another pro card, I think, to who they thought, you know, either came second or in their opinion, you know. So big Ron, man. I wish him the best of luck. I've been following him, you know, being a Canadian bodybuilder. You know, Ron was one of those guys that I used to look up to and watch when I started, you know, competing in my career. And, you know, Big Ron's been at it for a while. He's just one of those really, really great Canadian bodybuilders. I call him the Keith Williams of Canadian bodybuilding, man. And, you know, we wish him the best of luck. I'm sure Ron's going to come in tip-top condition. He will also be doing the over 35, so him and Dan Decker will be battling it out twice, and I'm sure there's going to be a few other guys that'll be crossing over. Just not sure how old these guys all are. We got Kevin Tomaszewski, which I know I just killed his last name. He's also doing the supers, and Kevin, man, he looks awesome. You know, he's another big super heavyweight guy, and lots of muscle there. So the super heavyweight class is just going to be packed, stacked. Sorry, and also we got in the 35 Chuck Lyons, another great bodybuilder. You know, we had John Meadows, Mountain Dog Training. He was on last week, and you know, it's great talking to John. We're going to have him back on the show, hopefully in the upcoming weeks, talk a little bit more about the nutrition. I know he had a lot to do with Antonio winning the Canadians by helping him out, you know, with his training methods, diets. He's got some really great philosophies. Just watched a video of John in a non-traditional back workout, man. This guy is just off the chain. If you haven't seen John Meadows, check it out, mountaindogtraining.com, or just Google John Meadows. Check him out on Facebook. He's a great guy, been training for years, very knowledgeable. In the heavyweight class, you got Junior USA champion Anthony Pasquale hanging in there, you know, pushing. Dave convinced him to stay on his diet another few weeks, and you know, Anthony's got a really good shot at you know, winning his pro card, taking the heavyweight class. You know, I know Robert Ewells will be there. Robert placed third at the USA's behind Anthony. It was pretty tough. So, you know, you got some really good heavyweight competitors. I'm thinking those two guys are, you know, in the top. I'm not sure if Rafael Germalo trains down in South Florida. Seen him win the Southern States a few years back, and you know, Rafael, he reminds me of Kevin Laroni. He's from Venezuela. He's been training down here in Miami. He got a great physique, and he's been hitting the national scene. You know, light heavies is a kind of a toss-up. I'm not quite sure, you know, who's going to be competing. I know Adam Cohn, you know, he plays second. He's going to be, you know, he plays second to the winner, Darren Glenn, that went on to win the overall. So, you know, it was, I'm thinking Adam is doing nationals. You got Corey Matthews, finished third, Clay Johnson, and Pete Ciccone. I'm not quite sure if these guys are going to be competing. And we also have our good friend Tad, the diet coach, competing in the Masters. So, you know, it's going to be a great jam-packed show. And like I said, I'm not quite sure everybody that's competing, but you know, it's just going to be one of those great shows. So I guess Randy, I don't know what the deal is with Randy Tyner, man. This is the second time he no-showed me, so I'm not quite sure what's going on. If something came up, I know we had a little, you know, he's in Texas, so I know we had a time mixture last time, but I thought we had it straight this time, but quite obviously that didn't happen. So I got an interview I did with powerlifting legend from Daytona Beach, and I'm going to play some of that for you guys tonight. Larry's going to be setting the world record in the deadlift over 60 coming up in the next few months, I do believe, here in either October or November. So I'm going to play you a little bit of Larry's interview, and you guys can get a perspective of what it's like to be training for almost 40 years. Oh, just one sec. I think Just 1 second here. Welcome to Fit Physique Radio. How you doing tonight?
Hey man, how's it going?
Good. Who's calling?
Hey, my name is Lamar. I just found your radio show. I'm a fixed listener to Blog Talk Radio, and I'm actually a fitness fanatic myself. Big fan of Ronnie Coleman, big inspiration in my life. I want to ask you though, being Ronnie Coleman, he's a 7-time Olympic champion and everything. My question is, do you feel that the black man has the best physique in the world? Do you think the black man has a superior body to the white man? Because I think that we are the best weightlifters, we're the best bodybuilders, and we're the best everything. I think the white man is too weak to understand how the black man works.
So what's your question exactly? You kind of broke up there. So you're asking me if I think a black guy's physique is better than a white guy's physique? Is that what you're saying?
Basically, what I'm asking, Cracker, is that do you feel that the black man has a better, superior body type than the white man?
Well, first of all, I really don't like to be called Cracker. So that call right there, you really there is no need for that. So once again, without even getting into that whole subject of racism and black physiques and white physiques, anyway, that call there, I think, was smoking a little bit of crack, and I think he dialed the wrong number looking for the dope man. So sorry about that, guys. Like I was saying, I'm going to play this interview of Larry Russell, powerlifting legend, and you just check out what Larry's got to say. This is Craig Soubliere. We're in Daytona Beach, Florida at Total Nutrition Gym, taking Fit Physique on the street. Just ran into powerlifting world record holder and bodybuilder, former bodybuilder, Larry Russell. How you doing today, Larry?
I'm doing good, Craig. Thanks.
So, Larry, man, you just got finished up training, and so what do you got going on as far as powerlifting? I know we've talked in the past, and you're no longer bodybuilding, and you're just focusing on the deadlift. So tell our listeners out there what you have going on as far as competitions and what you've been doing as far as training.
Okay. Well, I moved up a weight class from the 181-pound class to the 198, which is much easier for me. I think I told you before, the 181-pound class was a spin-off from my former bodybuilding competitions, which finished up about a year and a half ago. So the 198 class is a better fit for me. It's what I competed at back in the 70s pretty efficiently. And I can eat well and train well at that weight. So it's a transition. And right now I'm probably 8 weeks into a deadlift competition in Orlando with some goals with about 8 weeks to go. So it's about a 16-week cycle. And today, being a Tuesday, is I guess what I call a prehab day, which is a coined word, I think, to mean prehabilitation. In other words, we're trying to prevent injury. So when we deadlift, which is my Saturday, and when we compete in the deadlift, the entire body is in jeopardy of injury, and I mean from calf up to trapeze. So on Tuesday I do my bodybuilding movements, high reps, mediocre weight. I'm not trying to make a record. I'm just trying to condition the pecs, the forearms, the quads, the hamstrings, everything that's involved in a deadlift that people don't realize. Because it's a master exercise just like the squat. So when we go for a big single in a contest or in training, we're testing the muscular tensile strength, the ligament tensile strength, and the tendon tensile strength. So it's good to prepare by doing the bodybuilding movements. So I'm doing that on Tuesday, then I'll rest for 3 days and hit it hard on Saturday for the deadlift. And then rest 3 days and swing around. So I'm actually on a 2-day, twice a week, which is new for me. Usually I'm a 3-day, 4-day, or 5-day, but I need the recovery time because now the singles on Saturday are becoming very intense, and I cannot come back 2 days later for even bodybuilding. I need the extra day. So it's Tuesday bodybuilding, Saturday deadlift.
So Larry, getting back to you were saying about preventing injuries and stuff, and tell our listeners out there how long you've been training for, and what type of injuries have you sustained over the last few years as far as training goes. I know you have a list for us, so let our listeners out there kind of get more of an understanding of what you've been through over the years and what you've accomplished through having these injuries and minor setbacks in your career. Okay, well, if we go back, and I don't want to bore you, but if we go back to the beginning, we'd be talking starting powerlifting competition in 1972, age 25, and then previous to that, I had probably worked out with weights for another 5, 6, 7 years. So I'm getting close to a total of 50 years of training. But in those younger years, I almost never got hurt, and that was the full power, meaning squat, bench press, and deadlift competition, because I was in my prime, and I could train heavy often, compete often, and not worry about injuries because the muscles were more resilient. As I got older, I switched to bodybuilding, and years later came back to powerlifting in my 50s. And I came to find out that my brain said I could do it, but my body said you can't. And what that means basically is the weak link in the chain is going to show itself when you get into these heavy singles or doubles or triples in the 3 power lifts. So consequently, the first injury I sustained was in a squat competition here in Daytona Beach in the year 2000. And I basically tore the quadricep patella, that's your kneecap tendon, right off the kneecap. It was a total rupture. And the way that works is when I was in the full part of the squat, in other words, in the hole with the weight, the contact point or the insertion of that tendon on the kneecap totally came off. And just for reference, my mother and my 2 kids were in the audience, and they could hear the tear from where they were. So that set me back real good. Now, Larry, how painful is an injury like that when you sustain that during a meet, and what kind of pain was that?
Well, what's crazy about it, Craig, if I look at all my injuries, I've had 8, I counted 8 ruptures between 2 knees, 2 biceps, 3 biceps, 4 shoulders. None of them hurt when they happened, and I don't know why. And I never asked an orthopedic. When they hurt is afterwards. In other words, when you try to utilize the limb. I remember I was evac'd to the hospital here in Norman Beach, and they were just trying to get me up on the x-ray table, and it was excruciating, the knee pain. But actually, when I was laying on the platform, and they picked me up and carried me off, there was no pain at all. It's just there was no function in the limb because it's disconnected. And then the right knee was 15 months later. That was a duplicate, same kind of injury. That was in a heavy single in training, getting ready for the Nationals. So there's definitely symmetry to these injuries, and I liken it to anything that gets older in terms of tensile and stretching and elasticity gets brittle. And I think all it takes is a little nick in that tendon, and when you put tremendous amounts of pressure to it via a weight, it's going to tear and then dislodge. So it becomes time-consuming. The biggest thing with the injuries for me wasn't the pain, it wasn't the surgery, it wasn't the rehab. All this stuff takes months and months. It's the inconvenience and the setback for the sport, because I always wanted to come back and do more.
Now, with those injuries, like you touched on a really good point about, the setback with your training and stuff. So how does one mentally prepare themselves to get back to their form? And tell us a little bit about what the struggles were like as you're rehabbing back to to these injuries?
Well, I'm a hard nose, and basically I knew that because of the squat injury, I wouldn't be doing heavy squats again. Basically, at that point, I had left the deadlift and the bench, which for us is called a push-pull. There's plenty of those contests around. And the deadlift had always been my favorite lift. So, to be honest with you, what I did, I started training the deadlift while I still had my cast on. And what I did was I would stiff leg the movement. So I knew that since I had this hard cast on the leg, which ran from the ankle to the groin, that I couldn't bend the leg, that I couldn't hurt it. At least that's what I thought. And being a hard nose, I started with propping the weight up on a 7.5-inch block, so it would be a short stroke. My stroke's about 21 inches, so I was pulling the weight about 14 inches from the top of the blocks to finish. And so that was easy. And I worked up to probably 500 pounds with that cast on. And then over time, what I started to do then, I feel like I'm pretty creative and anal. So what I started doing, I said to myself, okay, 500's okay, let's not push our luck, but let's start dropping the height of the blocks now. So I'm still with the cast on. The cast stayed on for 2 months. And what I would do is I went from a 7.5-inch block to a 5-inch block, eventually to a 2.5-inch block. I kept cutting it in half, and then eventually to the floor. This is over a period of, say, 4 weeks. So eventually I pulled 510 off the floor, stiff-legged with the full cast on. That's when I knew I was making progress. So at that point, I knew that I had rehab still left, and so the cast comes off, and I don't tell the rehab people that I'm going to what I'm doing. They wouldn't approve of it. And what I would do at the hospital, Halifax Hospital, I would sneak into their Nautilus room, and I do leg presses before I start the rehab. And my goal over the 8 weeks was to leg press the entire stack of 400 pounds, which they never knew I was doing that. So I can't help myself, you know. And I think it pretty much is planned out. I don't want to get hurt again, and I think it helps me. But I challenge myself. I get mad. I get aggressive. And I don't let these injuries detract from my short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals.
Man, that's just an amazing story, and I'm sure the ladies, if they would have known that at the rehab center, they would have been a little bit upset with you. And I'm sure your wife has a little bit of dealings with your mindset with the training. Now, how does she like all this training and as now you're prepping again to set another world record? How supportive is your wife in your endeavors?
Well, I think that she gives me equal treatment. In other words, anything in life that she wants to do, I support, and I get it back. And I think that's the way it's supposed to be in a marriage. She knows there's always a risk, and she knows that I know. Obviously, she doesn't want to see me get hurt, just like I don't want to see myself get hurt. But I can't pass up these opportunities. Life is pretty quick, and right now my challenge is to do almost as well as when I was a young man, and maybe better. So she's in my corner. I call her the food Nazi in the house because she doesn't let me get over 200 pounds, and she's my conscience, I guess. I guess that's a good thing because I like to eat.
Yeah.
So we got a rule: if it's in the house, you can eat it, but you don't see too many bad foods in my house. So.
Now, being a powerlifter now, and totally focusing on breaking world records with the deadlifts and stuff, tell us a little bit about how your diet is now compared to what it was like during your bodybuilding days.
Well, actually, I'm taking advantage of my knowledge. I'm finding, first of all, I'm hypoglycemic. I have been for about 6 or 7 years, and basically that means I have to eat somewhere between 5 to 8 feedings a day. That's not a total meal. It could be maybe just a yogurt or cottage cheese or some Swiss cheese or some rice and beans. But basically I have to have that sugar, whether it comes via simple carbs or complex carbs, in my blood. Otherwise, I'm in trouble. But the bodybuilding, to answer your question, Craig, the bodybuilding because I studied nutrition for years and years, and then experienced it via bodybuilding, weight control. It allows me to maximize my nutrition. In other words, I feel like anything that I'm taking in is good for my cause, and my cause is to get stronger. So basically, I have to make a weight class. 198 1/4 is the limit, and I have to come in as strong as I can. So the idea is most foods that I consume are going to help that cause, and it means that I'm not going to gorge myself, get on the scale the next day and say, oh boy, I'm weighing a 205, now I got to lose weight. I don't like to be in that position. So the knowledge of good nutrition from bodybuilding is taken me further than I think most lifters have that opportunity.
Yeah, most definitely, and I think with your sport, as far as power sports go, over the years, in generation to generation, and I know you've been training for like over 50 years now, that you've probably seen a lot of changes as far as nutrition. You see these guys that are in the power sports that are actually in better shape now, not so heavy and fat, and I think a lot of times now people realize, like you said, about nutrition and recovery and what makes you stronger. So I know like a lot of people are putting foods that are more important into their bodies to help achieve those goals. Now let's go back a little bit, like you were saying about the injury that you had with the squats, the knees. Now, how long did it take you to totally recover from that, as far as getting back into your training? And I know you stopped squatting after that, but how did that affect your deadlifting training and getting back into the gym? Well,
I believe in the cliche of turning a liability into an asset. And in this particular case, the liability were both my knees. They were both torn up and then repaired surgically, and probably had jeopardy of it happening again. I don't know, but I didn't want to take the chance. So what it meant was to explore deadlift only without squatting, because I still wanted to do some squats and box squats, but then I realized that the squats do play a negative role on the lower back. So when I threw the squats out altogether, I found that my progress with the deadlift was more pure. In other words, I didn't have to anticipate recovery from squats on my lower back. I just had to look at my deadlift recovery from the deadlift itself.
Well, guys, if you want to hear the rest of Larry's interview, I'll have the entirety of Larry Russell's interview on later this week on a special edition of Fit Physique Radio. We're going to be right back with our first guest of the night. Welcome back to the show, guys. I'd like to welcome our first guest, all the way from the Great White North, IFBB Pro Lou Joseph. What's happening, Lou? How you doing tonight?
Hey, Craig. Hey, how's it going? It's a pleasure to be here.
Good, man. It's a pleasure to have you on the show tonight. And Lou, man, I got to ask you, how's life been treating you?
Everything's been pretty good. Everything's pretty mellow. Nothing too crazy right now. So right now I'm pretty much working, family life, and training off season, and everything's great.
Now, speaking of training, how is your training going right now?
Right now, well, I took some time off last year, the last 3 months of 2011, just to give my body a rest, my joints a rest, and I came down in weight a little bit, got down to about 230. Seems that's the weight I'm kind of at, where I'm taking a rest off the gym and diet and so forth. And I felt that it was great. Like I think my body needed that. So this year just started. Well, actually, I just basically started probably a few months ago, getting back into a little serious. At the beginning of this year, I was kind of in and out. I have had a few other things I had to take care of in my life, so I just put on the back burner for a bit. But the last few months, it's been going pretty good, getting a little bit stronger in the gym. Weight has gone up to around 260 to 265 right now, and I think that's kind of the limit right now of what my body can hold. If I get any bigger than that, I think I'll be holding on to too much body fat. So just trying to stay at this weight and just get a little bit tighter as the year goes on. And I'm looking forward to competing in the 212s next year. So I need a little bit added size because I'm 5'6", and a lot of the guys in that class, they're shorter than me. So I kind of need to be at the top end of that class. And that's pretty much the strategy so far right now. But yeah, I'm enjoying it and training smart and trying to keep myself injury-free as possible.
Now, Lou, when you're getting down to the 212 weight class, coming down from 260, 265, is it a big battle for you as far as dropping 50 pounds for a show, or is your body just one of those bodies that really reacts really good to once the diet, the cardio, everything gets kicked in high gear?
Well, I'll probably start trimming back probably the beginning of next year, and some shows that I have to see what the schedule's like, but probably end up trying to do some shows in the summertime. So I'll have a good 6 months to gradually drop it down. But I do respond pretty well. Like I've been heavy and I've dieted down from actually the heaviest I ever got was 275, and I've been down my last show to 202. So I can drop it. It's just like this time I'll probably do it much more gradually over, like I said, 6 months, and try to hold on to the muscle. And I think I had a hard time holding on to muscle and dropping weight for the last, actually all the pro shows so far that I've ever done. Once I try to squeeze into that 202 class, seems like the fat is not dropping as fast as probably the density, the way I look. Maybe at 220 it looks a lot better density-wise than I do at 205 or 202, and the fat hasn't changed too much. So I'm still trying to learn what my body can do, and I think I just have to bring it out slowly and try to just keep pushing it. Like it still needs some maturity as well, muscle maturity in certain body parts, mostly my lower body. But we'll see. Every show is different, and you hope to have a good run at it and try to become your best. So that's the goal.
I like how you said that, just to become your best, because, earlier in the show I was just talking about how, so many people, especially on the amateur level, do shows, and then, they if they don't do as well as they planned on doing, it's always, some kind of political or, I should have beat this guy, I should have beat that guy. Now, when you're competing, and now that you're on the pro scene where you're competing against the best bodybuilders in the world, what's your mindset going into a show? Like, are you just competing against yourself to beat yourself? I know we all compete to win, but we're in such a judgmental, opinionated sport that you really have no control over what the judges say. So when you're getting ready for a show, what keeps you motivated, and what's your main focus point as far as what type of package you're trying to bring to the stage?
Well, the way I look at bodybuilding, when it first came about, it was actually more of a beauty contest, right? So guys get in shape, and evolve from there. And really, the judges choose who they like the most, and that's the one part you really have to accept, because that's out of your control. The gym you can control, the diet, but when you get on stage and somebody has maybe rounder muscle bellies than you, or certain body parts that are a lot stronger than you. There's really kind of nothing you can do. I'm sure everybody trained to the fullest and dieted really hard and did the cardio, some more than others. But really, it's just competing against yourself. If you can constantly improve on what you got, I think there's some satisfaction in that. And genetics at that level is really plays a big role, because you got these guys that most of them are, actually all of them are genetically gifted. So some people at the gym might think, oh, I'm genetically gifted, but I'm actually maybe not as genetically gifted as some of these other guys, some of these other top guys of the world. So genetic-wise, there is a discrepancy, and as far as you trying to get biceps like so-and-so, or triceps like so-and-so, or quads like so-and-so, it's just not really gonna happen exactly that way. You could train it, you can use it as motivation to try to train your certain body parts hard to get it more developed, but that's who you should be competing against, is yourself. Maybe use the competitors as motivation, thinking about how hard they're training for this, and you don't want to be beat that way. So that's my goal right now, is just basically look at my body and trying to improve, and I think for me longevity is of the sport inspires me more than anything else. When you see guys out there in peak shape at a later age, you got like Tony Freeman in his mid-40s or there, and he's showing no signs of aging. Doesn't look like to me. And that is more motivation, if you can, because if you can carry on the sport to your late 40s, you can make great improvements as far as muscle maturity, separation, density. Maybe not so much as size, but I kind of like the look of somebody who's fully developed with some size, not necessarily somebody that's really huge with barely any maturity at all, and then they burn themselves out too early in their career. So I think it's the long run kind of looking at here, maybe skipping a year off here and there as I go along, and just doing it for myself and wanting to be better, and if I ever get to that stage where stepping on stage with the top guys in the world at the Olympia, then that'll be the course it takes, and I have something to do with it as far as training wise, but in the end, it's, like I said, it's just the judges who they feel like they're trained, they've been judging the sport, and as you become a fan of the sport, you can kind of see and be a critic yourself, and look at yourself and say, I see why they placed me here because of this, and that. So the politics, like if you're getting really upset with the politics, I think this is not really sport for you. Like maybe you should just do it for yourself and maybe take some photo shoots or whatever, or get into something competitive where they actually, where you actually like something like a sport, like golf or basketball, whatever it is, where you make the goal or you get the hole in one, and there's no debating that. So that's kind of the way I look at it.
Now, Lou, let's go back a little bit. Tell our listeners how you got started into training, and how old were you when you first started lifting weights? Well,
back in high school, I had uncles that used to work out. They had a little garage gym. Actually, they had chin-up bar, punching bags, and bench press, and they had these muscle magazines, which was like Muscle and Fitness, and I looked through those just out of curiosity, and I seen these physiques that I thought only Arnold possessed. Like when I watched Conan, I thought he was just one of a kind in this whole world. But then I opened this magazine, everybody looks muscular like him. And I remember seeing photo shoots of Sean Ray, and he looked very polished, and not, he wasn't the tallest guy, and I could kind of relate to him, a shorter guy, but his physique looked really nice, and the lines and everything. And
after that, I just kind of kept looking at the bang scenes. I maybe lifted a little bit in my friend's garage in grade 8, but I didn't really get too into a routine. Later on, I played football in high school, and they told us to go to the gym to work out in the off season. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I was mainly just training just arms and chest and upper body mostly. Not really, nobody was there to really guide me. So once I got into college, I joined the gym, and I was 18 at the time, and I started seeing guys training for shows, and I was curious to start talking to people. And I kind of saw that I developed pretty quickly as far as growing. First 3 months I started having round biceps, and my quads were getting bigger. And a friend of mine, his name's Lance, he helped me out with my first show, and I competed. Actually, no, before he helped me out, the year before, I did a show just by listening to people here and there, and not knowing what I was doing. I entered a junior show and placed third out of whatever competitors there were. And then the following year, I got the help, and I ended up winning the whole show in juniors, men's, and overall. And I saw how much of a commitment that was to compete in that show. My grades in college were slipping that semester, and I saw it as I didn't really see it as a path for me to go pro or anything. I didn't really know anything about that. Back then, there was hardly anybody competing in my city. We didn't have the internet. Actually, we just started getting the internet, but there wasn't these big forums and chat sites where you can link up together with other bodybuilders. So it was just something that I couldn't really see myself doing, and I wanted to finish my college and end up focusing more on the college, and had a part-time job at a bar, so I ended up hanging out with friends and drinking and partying. So that doesn't fit into the bodybuilding lifestyle at all. Later on, my friends saw the videos of me competing, and they started competing themselves, and then I started thinking about maybe giving it a go, and then I started competing all over again. Started back at the regional, worked my way up, and eventually turned pro. And that's pretty much where I'm at now. I turned pro in 2007. Did one show in 2008, 2 shows last year. I took a few years off. So I haven't really had much experience competing as a pro. But like I said, it's I'm looking at it as a longevity game where I can go in and out whenever life allows me to. There's things that come up in life that I know that some people are willing to sacrifice every bit of everything for the sport, and I'm not that type of person. I'm not really selfish by nature, and that's to become a bodybuilder who's always moving forward. I think sometimes you have to be a little bit selfish as far as getting your meals done, getting them prepared in time, and getting all the training you need to get in, and that kind of takes you away from most social gatherings and family gatherings. You can't just pick up and go take a trip for the weekend because you're going to miss training. So you really have to be on the ball if you're going to do a show. And some of these people, they never miss their sessions and never miss a meal. And I'm a little more loose on that side of it. So that's pretty much how I got into bodybuilding, and I've always looked at superheroes as a child as well, looking at cartoons like He-Man and X-Men, and I've always had that image of muscularity ingrained in me. So it's I think it's something that'll never die. I think I'll just continue working out as long as I can get into the doors, and I enjoy it.
Now, I really like how you put that because and not that there's anything wrong with, strategy, being pretty particular how you're going to balance out shows. And I think a lot of times bodybuilders, like you said, the guys will, never miss a meal, always be competing. But, when you have more responsibilities, like you have, having a family, having a business outside of bodybuilding, it seems like you have a good balance on both of those. And like a lot of people that are listening to the show that are just fans of bodybuilding or, gym rats, training and stuff, they really don't know what goes into to the sacrifice of a bodybuilding show. And I think that's really a really good trait that you have, that you're not selfish. And now, Lou, how would you go about planning out a show, like, with your business and family? How do you go about setting aside the time and planning that out, as far as, the time of year? Because I know you were saying next year you kind of would like to do a show maybe in the summertime. So does that work better for you, that part of the year?
Yeah, right now I'm just trying to look at a strategy for myself. I think like I've done New York twice, and it is a really strong show. So I'm not sure if I should be doing a strong show like that yet. So maybe in the summertime there's usually shows that are more for my caliber type, experience-wise and development-wise. I think I need to do a few smaller shows and work my way up. And also, I just pretty much, when I'm getting ready to get in that mode, I tell everybody, this is what I'm doing here, and nobody get offended if I don't come out for a few months here, and so they're prepared for what I'm willing to do. As far as work-wise, I can pretty much work. I'm pretty flexible. As long as I have my phone with me, I can attend to clients. The only thing I wouldn't be able to do is show homes if I'm, say, in another city. But really, it's a flexible job I have, so I can, if I'm scheduled to work out at, say, 5, but somebody wants to view some homes or there's a listing, I can just move my training to the morning. There's always going to be one spot where I don't have anything to do but train, so I can just move my appointments around like that. I'm at home a lot of times on my computer working, so I'm able to make meals, whatever, in the meantime. And that's about it. I'd like to maybe next year maybe do a couple of shows back to back. So my investment of spending the money to prepare for a show goes into 2 shows versus just one. So I'm kind of looking at something that is a few weeks apart. And that's pretty much what my approach would be. Just basically putting everybody on notice, and hopefully when I get down to a month out, people give me a little space and room, because that's when you get really tired and really irritable. That's the part I don't like about dieting. I don't like being really irritable, but that's what happens when you're basically starving. Sometimes you end up being so hungry you barely sleep, and I would just stay up, maybe reading books or whatever. And I'm naturally a pretty calm person, laid back, so that side of me people are used to seeing. If I get a little bit snappy on somebody from time to time, but every time I diet, I try to just relax a little bit more. And if I diet down slowly, it ends up helping that out as well. So that's how I'd really prepare going about a show. And as far as what shows I would pick, sometimes because I'm not sponsored, I try to make things work out. Like, say if somewhere I could drive, like there's a competition where I could drive out to and take a few people with me, friends or family. It's ideal instead of like doing shows like in Europe or somewhere I got to fly out to and I can't bring along some people with me. So there's a lot of things that I look at, but and also the financial aspect. You got to look at what's going on that year. You know, you got to put in a new roof. You got to upgrade this part of your house, or you got to purchase a new car, and there's a big investment as far as competing. And when you do the show, you don't get anything back unless you win. And the 212s, they don't get paid as much as the open classes. So really, you're just trying to recoup the initial investment you put into the training and diet. So I factor everything together and make my decision based on that.
Now, would you say the hardest part of the bodybuilding that you don't like the most is the last month or so, like you were saying, when you're, you know, really tired and depleted?
Yeah, that's really the toughest part, because you're trying to hold on to your muscle and not get too flat. At the same time, you want to try to get as hard as you can, and you become a lot more tired than usual. But at the same time, you're tired. It's like you can't even sleep. So I don't know. It might happen different for different people, but for me, that's how I feel. And the moodiness, of course, and the strength as far as you go into the gym and you're lifting. You're not lifting as heavy as you can. Maybe for me, my strength would sometimes even drop by 50%, which I don't know too many people that happens to. But for some reason, whenever I get to a certain point in my diet, my strength just bottoms right out, and I try to put stack on the weights and push it, but there's like no blood flow and I'm not feeling it. So I end up going lighter and trying to go for more of the feel. So it's a little tougher time. But everybody goes through it, so it's not only me that's going through that. But obviously, it's nicer when you're in the process of getting leaner, like 12 weeks out to 8 weeks out, and your strength is up and you're looking good and lines are in. But yeah, the last week, and then of course dehydrating yourself. There's been a few shows where I dehydrated myself and your mouth is really, really dry, and you start feeling sweaty, and you're really uncomfortable. So dropping water, not being able to take any water. And I think the last show I stopped water. I think it was Thursday morning or Wednesday night, and so no water Thursday or Friday or Saturday. So that was pretty rough, but yeah, the last few weeks is the toughest, but that's what makes a champion. So
yeah, absolutely. And do you find cutting your water out that far, does it, how does it affect your conditioning? Is that something that you normally do for contest prep?
Not 3 days. I've tried all different kinds, depends on who is training me at the time. I train people as well, so I'm looking at other people, what I'm doing for them. Sometimes I'll have people drink water all the way up to the night before, and they're full and they're hard and they look great. I haven't, for my clients, I tend not to drop the water too early. It seems to flatten them out. But with me, it's I have water issues as far as dropping water for show. There's been a few that came in tight as far as water, but a lot of times I just can't pull that water totally out. So it's a little different. Like I said, I train a lot of people, and I'm the one trying to figure out my body. So I think next time I just basically have to just try to get as lean as possible, tight as possible, see all the striations in there, and try to hydrate myself fully to the day of, and then stop drinking altogether. So every time I try to do a different approach and see what works. but I found lately that cutting it too early doesn't make an improvement in my appearance at all. And actually, I look better before cutting the water than I do after I cut it. So I think we'll just try a different approach this time, and it's all experimenting and seeing what works.
Yeah, absolutely. Bodybuilding's all about, trial and error, and, like you were saying, it's unfortunate, sometimes, a few days before the show, crucial things like cutting water out or, carbing up, and you can mistime things, and it can really backfire sometimes. And all that hard work over the last year or, 16 weeks of dieting can come to a crashing halt sometimes, with a few mistakes. And, with bodybuilding, it's definitely a learning procedure. And like you said, you get to know your body after, a few times competing and, seeing what you can and cannot do. And like you said, it all depends on, who you're working with and, what they have you doing. But, Lou, as far as your training style goes, what type of training style do you normally follow?
Well, my training style is pretty much instinctive training strategy, where I go in there and assess the way I feel and train accordingly. And it's just like I said, instinctively. I'll go in and I feel like I'm strong that day. I try to go for maybe a 6-rep range. But with all those lifts that I go to about 6 or 8 reps, I pyramid upwards, because I'll start off with a warm-up set, maybe 20 reps, and go to 15. I'll do a few warm-up sets, 15, 12, 10, and every set I do, I'm looking out for any signs of anything out of the ordinary, like if I feel strain somewhere in the joints or the muscle. If I feel like there's a little bit of strain somewhere, I'll back up. If I feel everything is firing off well, then I'll challenge myself a little bit and put more weight. I like that approach where I pyramid up most of my exercises, especially at the beginning, maybe not so much near the end of the workout. And sometimes I'll throw in stuff like rest pause sets or really slow reps, negatives, drop sets, super sets. And occasionally we'll do, the triceps, where you do on 3 different exercises in a row, and circuiting like that, back to back. So it's really instinctive. And as far as my split usually stays the same, where I do chest one day, back one day, hamstrings, shoulders, quads, and arms. So that's the split I usually keep all the time. I like to split up my legs, especially because I think that's one thing that most bodybuilders need to do, is split up their legs, because most people's hamstrings are underdeveloped, especially in the amateur ranks. So I like to give my hamstring its own workout. And I find that split works well for me, so I'm kind of just sticking with it. And as far as what exercise I pick, I kind of look at the muscle and think to myself where I need the improvements, and I'll focus more on those areas. So upper chest. Last year I focused a little bit more on decline and bring up lower chest for the side poses. Now it's more on the incline. And back, well, just overall, I got a hip in the back. It's I think I need a little bit more width, but as far as frame is concerned, it can't really get that much wider. So I'm focusing a little bit more on thickness. So a lot of rows, T-bar rows, deadlift. And then for the other body parts, hamstrings, basically just get them more separated and thicker. Quads, I already got really big teardrops, so I'm looking at getting more upper thighs. Instead of working the teardrops as much, more upper thighs and side sweep. So I kind of look at each muscle group and see where I need to improve, and I'll use exercises that will focus on those areas. But like I said, instinctive. So maybe I'll go in, I'll do 20 sets, and then one day I'll do 12 sets for that body part, or one day I'll do even more sets, 25. and I mix it up, all different rep ranges. I think it's good to mix it up because it hits its muscle a little bit differently, and also preventing injuries. Like if you're doing a few heavy sets, maybe throw some lighter sets in there, and that's pretty much my strategy as far as and that's pretty much what I do for people when I train them as well, is look at their weak spots and try to make a program for their weak spots. And I find that when you get rid once you get more leaner the person is, I'll start backing off on the volume a bit, because I feel like more volume, like if somebody's ready for the show, it's 5 or 4 weeks out, I start reducing the volume just so that they can get a stimulation, but not deplete themselves too much. Because if you're doing all these supersets and drop sets, unless you are genetically superior, or if you're, I don't know what other things you're doing, but most people then would flatten out a bit. And that's why it seems like when people get ready for shows, the first thing that flattens out is the body part that comes in the leanest first. So that's why you kind of have to, like, say for instance, if somebody's arms, they come in lean first, or chest, or whatever the case is, near the end of the preparation for the show, I'll back off the volume on those body parts. Whereas maybe somebody has really thick legs, but I can just keep hammering them with drop sets, whatever. But I try to look at making, so it's always you're trying to make the call, and trying to accommodate for what you're looking like and what the body parts are responding to. So that's basically it.
Now, Lou, as far as your diet goes, a lot of guys that compete, they put a 16 to 20 week effort into their diet, eating every 2 to 3 hours, 6, 7, 8 meals a day, and then off season comes, and a lot of guys sometimes get out of that regiment. Now, for yourself in off season, are you still on that regimen of eating every 3 hours, getting your protein in, trying to get your clean food in? How's your diet as far as off season to pre-contest change?
Well, pre-contest, I'll focus more on getting those 6 meals in and trying to time them properly. Whereas off season right now I'm probably getting 4 or 5 meals in a day, and I don't know. I kind of play around with that because I tend to gain weight easy. So if I eat too much, I'm feeling that maybe I would gain too much body fat. So I kind of, and I'm right now in the situation I'm in my life right now, I can't accommodate for 6, 7, 8 meals a day, and I'm doing all the cooking myself, preparation work. I don't have anybody doing it for me, so I have to make do with time I have, and so for right now it's basically 4 or 5, and I'm trying to go with a little bit more protein and fat during the day. And before my training, I'll have a whey protein with some simple carbs, and after my training, I'll have whey protein with simple carbs, and then I try to make the rest of the day mainly protein with fibrous vegetable carbs, or protein and some fat. Like first meal in the morning, I'll have some egg whites with some whole eggs mixed together, and it gives me the energy, and obviously my weight is staying up, so I don't really need to shove back massive amounts of food. My issue right now is just getting myself to peak shape during contest time. Off season, I can easily put on weight, but so I'm not too worried about making and eating meals every 2 hours right now. Like I said, I have other priorities I'm taking care of right now. But during contest prep, obviously I have to get the meals down pat and eat at a certain time.
So as far as the off season, you try to keep your diet, like the food's pretty clean. You know, are you a big junk food eater, or what? How does that work for you?
Well, it seems like this summer, a lot of people want to invite me out here and there. So I'll maybe have a junk food meal, like let's say pizza. Maybe every 2 or 3 days I'll have one meal that's like that. And I just kind of assess myself in the mirror. And as long as I can see my abs and lines in the legs, then I feel like I'm not getting too overboard on that. But generally, yeah, like I've grown up working in a variety store, my parents' variety store, and I grew up eating junk food. Obviously, it's not healthy for you, but like I said, in the summertime, people like to eat junk food. You know, like if you want to be part of the human race here, like go to, you know, like bodybuilding, you're a separate race.
Absolutely.
Everybody's you know, trying to watch their sodium and, you know, what kind of rice they're eating and whatnot. You know, now it's switched to quinoa. You know, so it's like being in a separate world. And the normal people out there, it's just you know, bread, carbs. So it's like whenever you go to your parents' house or family and friend's house, it's that's what you eat. But I try to keep those meals with people, with you know, groups of people. But I won't sit at home. I don't have ice cream in my fridge. I don't have junk food stored in my house at all. Because if it was there, I probably would eat it. So I don't have any chips. I don't drink pop. I don't have any ice cream. I don't have any, you know, Hungry Man dinners, you know, Silver Sticks, whatever you want to call it. I don't have that stored in my house. It's just an insurance that I won't eat it if it's not stored here. So whenever I do eat junk, it's usually at other people's houses, or when people invite me out somewhere. But like I said, I just kind of look at my body and see if I'm getting too far away, and then if so, then start adding cardio back in and trying to tighten up when I'm eating. Yeah.
You know, I couldn't agree with you more, Lou. When you have your cheat meals at bodybuilding in the off season, it's nice to be able to go out and, you know, like you said, you know, be a part of the human race, because when you're dieting and prepping for shows, man, it's you know, it's really hard to go to social events. And I'm like you, man. It's nice to be able to, you know, to go to eat or go to friends' houses and, you know, have different foods. And, you know, that's one thing about myself as well, is if I'm going to have a cheat meal, I'm going to go out and eat out. And if I'm going to go eat, you know, chicken breast, and like, you know, now like I'm dieting, I'm just going to eat at home, because, you know, I don't want to go out and, you know, have a dinner of, you know, dry chicken breast. I can have that at home, but
yeah,
definitely in the off.
Triple the price too at a restaurant for dry chicken breast.
Yeah, and then it really makes you the life of the party. All your friends really want to come hang out with you when you're dieting. So, you know, that's
why there's so many bodybuilding friends, like groups of friends out there that hang out together and eat chicken together, and, you know, Crystal Light or whatever.
Yeah, I'm just not that person, man. I like to really be the only one doing that. And as far as you know, be hanging out with other bodybuilders, it just seems to be, you know, such a, like, you know, a different sport than any other sport. It's really, you know, hard to you know, like you said, to live that normal life. And you know, before I let you go, Lou, I got to ask you, what has been the greatest moment of your bodybuilding career so far, since you've been competing now?
Well, I think it'd have to be when I won the Ontario Championships, and, well, there's 3 shows. When I was 19 and won the overall Windsor Cup, that was great, because I was very young, and you know, at the time I had like a title, Mr. Windsor, and everybody knew me as that. Then in 2005, when I won the Ontarios, I had a disappointing showing, like my last show, and then I came back and won provincials. And then, of course, turning professional, my second time doing the Canadians, which sometimes I feel like I got through too easy, because there's some guys are doing this every single year, a number of years to turn. So they're still doing it. They have more patience than I do. They're still doing it, still loving it, and even though they haven't turned pro yet, they still have a love for the sport. And I don't know if I would have lasted that long. I guess it was my 4th or 5th try. I don't know. Maybe I would be a different person. Maybe I'd keep going on and trying to push for it. But I think I was privileged, honored to become professional, especially doing the show my second time. The first time I did that show, the Canadians, I ended up placing 14 out of 15 guys in the light heavyweight division. So going from that to a couple years later to first in heavies and pro card, I think it was a big jump, and that was a good moment for me as far as bodybuilding wise. And a few of the photo shoots I've done for magazines and getting some covers, I think that's nice because you could take it with you and maybe show it to your grandchildren or children later on in life, and you have something to look at as far as what you've done. The photo shoots, I think, are very important because you're giving back to the sport as far as with photos with you in the magazines, and it gives you a snapshot of who you were at that particular time in life. Whereas if you never took pictures, professional pictures, and you have nothing maybe to remember yourself by. And those were pretty much the moments then. So I got a few of them.
Awesome, man. And, like you said, you got to give hats off to guys like, Ron Parlow, which competing, 7-time runner-up. And, the year you won in 2007, you got the pro card, and he didn't again. And it's just like
yeah,
like
I was hoping that Ron would take a pro card this year. He always comes in great shape. So, he still enjoys the sport, and I'm friends with Ron. So he's a great guy. He's a great ambassador for
most definitely
the amateur Canadian bodybuilding scene.
Most definitely. And being a Canadian bodybuilder myself, I've followed Ron's career, and hopefully this weekend at the North Americans he can either pull something off in the super heavyweights in the open or the over 35. So best of luck to him. Best of luck to you, Lou. I just like to thank you for taking the time out to being on Fit Physique Radio. And, let our listeners out there, we got some supplement companies out there listening. We got a lot of fan base out there. Let the people know how they can get a hold of you for any kind of supplement sponsorship or anything to help you out in your quest in 2013 to get back on stage.
Well, I'm on Facebook, so you can look me up under Lou Joseph. My email address is info@loujoseph.ca, and be glad to look at any kind of sponsors as far as getting me out there to compete and representing them and getting the word out about their company and their products. So anybody interested, they can get a hold of me.
Awesome, Lou, and I'd just like to thank you once again for being on Fit Physique Radio, and we wish you the best of luck in your future, and we'll be keeping an eye on you in the 212 in 2013, brother.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Craig. Pleasure to be on the show.
Thank you, Lou. Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Guys, that was IFBB Pro Canadian Bodybuilding Lou Joseph. I'd like to welcome our last guest on the line, competing this weekend at the North Americans in the women's physique class. I'd like to welcome to the show Christina Smithers. What's up, Christina? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing? That's the question. A week out from a big
tired.
national.
No, I'm feeling good.
Good. How you feeling going into North Americans this week?
I'm excited. This is only my second show. It's my first national competition, and So really, you know, I'm going in it with just nothing to lose and just trying to have fun and enjoy it, the process, the journey. As my trainer, you know, Walt told me, he said, you know, a lot of people get focused on the outcome and they don't enjoy the journey, you know, and this is just going to be a good experience regardless of what happens. So I'm pretty excited. I'm ready.
You know, absolutely, man. You know, Walt, you know, really hit the hammer on the head there, and you know, it's really cool that you have that attitude, that you're there to have fun, and you know, a lot of people, I mean, you know, go to their first national show, you know, saying they're going to get their pro card, and they don't have any clue what's going on, and you know, like you said, it's all about having fun. It's all about making improvements, and you know, tell us a little bit about what your first show was like. What contest did you just compete in?
I just actually competed last weekend in my, it was my second show ever competing. My first show I did a figure competition in 2011. And then this year I actually transitioned to, after meeting Walt, or getting connected to Walt through another True Iron athlete, Damar. He actually connected me to Walt and got me into physique. And actually, we only had about 5 weeks to prep going into Florida State. And so I placed in the top 5 and qualified now for national level competition. So everything's happened pretty quickly. But yes, that was my first competition. So this week can only be my second physique show.
So how do you, you know, how do you like the transformation from figure to physique?
Well, you know, growing up, I was an athlete. I played 4 sports in high school. You know, I've been involved in sports ever since I was a little girl. And my dad actually had us with a broomstick as little kids, myself and my 2 older brothers, doing clean and jerk in the mat. So I've always been in the weight room. I've always been around lifting and sports. Both my parents, still this day, are very active, you know. But I think genetically and naturally, my body wanted to be more of a physique athlete. So I'm very thankful that this category is pretty new for us women, but I'm thankful that it's around at the time where I'm just getting into the sport. I think figure was probably not what my body wanted to do, but, you know, us females are always trying to get smaller and leaner, and so I thought, well, that's what I'll do instead of bodybuilding. But physique, I think, kind of is a nice combination of the two, you know, the bodybuilding and the figure. And I think it's just more naturally what my body wants to be. So I'm feeling good. I feel very good. I think physique's probably more where I'm supposed to be anyway. So I'm excited to kind of see where this is going to take me.
You know, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, with the women's physique coming in, it really has, you know, kind of fell into, you know, people like you. That class is just kind of made for that type of physique, and you know, I'm really happy that you know, this new class has been really successful, and it seems that they're to getting a better grip on the look that they're kind of looking for, especially going into the North Americans. How do you feel, you know, stepping on stage at a big show like this? You know, you got yourself a great trainer, which, you know, makes all the difference in the world. Someone that's been there and knows the battlegrounds. How are you feeling? You know, making is this going to be your first trip out of state at a competition?
Yeah. The last 2 competitions I did were, you know, here in Florida. The one was in Orlando. The one in 2011 was in Lakeland. And so yeah, it's my first time traveling. So I mean, I got to be honest, I'm a little bit nervous about how my body's going to respond, you know, to the travel itself. But I think when you're connected to someone who understands the proper diet and competition prep, and you have full trust in that person. Everybody's body is different. You know, I know Lou mentioned that earlier this evening, and you have to it's a continuous, you know, process. Even after years of being involved, you still got to learn your body and how your body's gonna, you know, be affected by different things such as traveling and those things. But when you're connected to someone like Walt, who is, I mean, he knows what he's doing, and there's a confidence and a trust that if he tells me to do something, you know, I'm going to do it, I'm going to listen, I'm going to follow suit, because he's very, very knowledgeable. And so I have that confidence and that trust in him, and that takes some of the pressure off of me, I think, and it makes me a little less nervous, because I feel like, you know what, I've done everything I can to prepare myself for this show. And as you mentioned, sometimes things happen right down to the very last day that you thought, well, man, that's 16 weeks of prep. It's just, you know, your body responds to something, you know, whether it's the carb load or it's the water deplete or whatever it is. You know, in my case, maybe it's going to be the flying and the traveling, but that's not really my focus. You know, I'm just going to, you know, another thing that Walt taught me through the process is, you know, why make a bunch of, you know, a lot of people try to make a bunch of changes going into the show, you know, that last week, and why do that? You know, if your body's looking good and you're going into the show a certain way, why make all these drastic changes a couple days going into the show? So I think we're just trying to keep things that, you know, follow suit, basically, and stick with the plan, and like I said, it's going to be a learning process, and I may look back at my next show and go, okay, well, you know, I want to do this different, I'm going to do that different, but, I mean, who doesn't do that? Even to this day, the pros are probably still, you know what I mean, going back and looking at different things that they can change. So I think at this point, it's one of those things where I've trusted the process. I'm going to continue to trust the process going into the show. I'm going to soak it all in. I'm going to enjoy the experience, and don't get me wrong, I'm a competitor. I'm not going up to Pittsburgh to lose or to place last, but you know, keeping things in perspective, that this is my first national competition, I'm just happy to be there. So,
you know, you made a really good point there, Christine, by saying, you know, having a good coach and someone that's been there, and like you said, someone that, you know, you can trust with the process. And, you know, you really hit it on the head there. So many people, you know, try to make these changes, and, you know, I see it time and time again. It's like, you look good, and why would you want to, you know, throw basically a wrench into the whole program and then, you know, screw everything up? But, you know, like you said, you know, I'm sure Walt's got you, you know, prepped as good as you can as far as flying, and, you know, those are things that you don't have control over. And like you said, you know, it's a learning experience, and what you're going to find in this sport, and trust me, being involved in this sport for over 20 years, you're going to do things different. This is just you know, almost like, you know, you're just scratching the surface, and, you know, now you're being able to, you know, look back at this, and, you know, like you said, of course, we all go to win. You don't train for second place. You train to win, and then you evaluate the situation after it happens, and then now you'll have something, you know, to judge yourself for the next time, and maybe it'll be the next time we'll be in the pro ranks, you know, and maybe not. But the bottom line is, you're going to have something to gauge your progress by. Just like, you know, your last show as a women's physique competitor, you're basically trying to beat that person. So, you know, I think that's a great attitude, and you know, Walt definitely has that same type of attitude. I love trainers like that really tell their clients, and I really preach this to my clients, that especially the ones that want to compete, you got to have fun, and you got to just compete against yourself. And like you said, you know, you sound like you know, you're a little kid in a candy store, and you're just trying to absorb every little, you know, detail and process, and that honestly, you know, is really a smart way of going about it, because, you know, it'll make it fun. And, you know, what you're going through right now is not always the fun part, but at the end of the road, you know, and for you right now, I'm sure it's exciting, so it'll help blow this week by. But, you know, people that don't compete, you know, the last few weeks before a show is really tough, especially for yourself coming off, you know, just a show, you know, so close. So, you know, hats off to you, and you know, we wish you the best of luck. You looked awesome, you know, and I really think we're going to see big things from you. I know Walter's really excited about you doing the show, so we're really looking forward to that. I got to tell you, or I got to ask you, let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you. What's the best way to get a hold of you? If there's any companies out there listening, looking for sponsoring a women's physique competitor, let our listeners know what's the easiest way to get a hold of you.
Probably through email. I am on Facebook. However, I've been told that I'm hard to find. Not really sure why, but so I have an email address that is also linked to my Facebook that I check daily. And that's just my first initial of my first name, which is K, and then my last name, which is Smithers. So it's like Smith with the ERS on the end. So it's K Smithers 33 at yahoo.com. And on Facebook, it's just my name, Kristen Smithers. So either one.
Now, Kristen, is there anyone out there you'd like to give a shout out to, a thanks for helping you through this prep? And I know it's been a long road for you.
Actually, I got a little group of people that have really been there, and I couldn't have made it without them. And I know it sounds cliche, but being a competitor, that there's really a lot of truth to that. You have probably a handful of people that maybe not even that many, maybe it's just a couple that without them you couldn't make it. And you talk about the dieting and the mental aspect of it, and the physical that goes into it, and just getting down to the very last couple of days, it seemed like weeks, going into the show. So definitely the True Iron family, which is Walt and Aaliyah, his fiance, and DeMar. And then my family, my mom, she's listening right now. She's my number one fan for sure. And also one of my best friends, Dalton, who's basically seen me through the whole thing as well. So, and there's a few others out there that I'm sure I've forgotten to mention, but I have a group of people, Amy from the gym, if she's listening, she knows, who she is, but it's just a small group of people, but I tell you, I can't say it enough. If it wasn't for them, these dreams and these things that are coming true, for me at least, or at least goals that I'm seeing come to pass in my life just wouldn't have happened without them, and that's the truth.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree with you more. And we wish you the best of luck. We'll be cheering you on this weekend, and
Thank you.
Hopefully you leave Pittsburgh with a pro card.
That would be awesome. That's the goal.
All right. Well, listen, we wish you the best of luck, and thank you for stopping by the show, Kristen.
Thank you, Craig. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you. Same to you.
Guys, that's going to wrap it up for tonight's show. Thank you to all the guests. Thank you to Max Speed, my producer. Thank you to Advanced Genetics sponsor, and also thank you to the IronDen.com. Check out our form on Fit Physique, Iron Den. Till next week, guys, listen, learn, and grow with Fit Physique Radio. I'm out of here.
Blog Talk Radio, where millions of hosts and listeners gather.
For just, putting his nose to the grindstone and continue on just working and working and working hard, man. That's the key. And, it's just amazing. People can just, stick to their game plan and continue on without having to toot their horn. And, I guess that's the bottom line. I've been in this bodybuilding game for, 20 years, and, I just wish people had more, were more humble about their achievements, and that just it gives people a better perspective on bodybuilding and a little more respect. So prep's going good. As you can tell, I got a little rant going off, a little more aggressive tonight. Take away the carbs after a couple days, and brain starts to fry, and the mood gets a little bit bad. But so what's been going on this week, man? That whole Lance Armstrong bullshit, and I say that with the utmost respect, but the USADA seems to want to be stripping Lance Armstrong of his medals and his 7 Tour de France victories. I mean, the United States and this anti-doping agency, man, really, really has, made it to a point where, Lance Armstrong has never failed a drug test. And, enough's enough, man. And, like he said, it comes to a point in a man's life where you got to say enough's enough. And this is just taking a toll on his family, his work, and all the work in his foundation. It just, every day, it's some kind of battle. And Lance just gave up on, on the battle. I mean, it's just not fair that they can put you in such a situation, that a guy that has 7 titles, a bronze medal at the 2000 Olympics, all these titles and money he won from 1998 and on, they're trying to take all that away from him. And, it's just crazy how the government just gets involved in this and trying to tarnish a great athlete's, his whole reputation, trying to ruin it, man. So what? You know what? Lance passed the drug test that he had to pass. Guys failed, and they fail. You know what? This is sports. If you're one of those people out there that are sitting there listening to the show right now and going, great, and the open guys, unbelievable. Light heavyweight class, the heavyweight, the supers, the middleweights, man, all those class winners this year at the Floridas, great, great, great competitors, man. Hats off to those guys. I know level 4 is where I'm at, and that's where, I'm going to progress and then take a few years and, maybe go to the Nationals Masters scene when I'm ready. But, one thing I'm not going to tell you is if I happen to have win a level 4, you're not going to hear it come from my lips the next weekend that I'm training for my pro card. You know what? Because it doesn't happen. And when people go to Nationals, they really get a wake-up call. And like Pete Flancher was saying last week, people really, really, just really miss the whole shit, man. They miss it. They miss the whole, what bodybuilding's about. It's about fun. It's about competing. It's about being better than what you were before. It's about, having fun. And, no, the process isn't fun. And everybody wants to win. And everybody suffers, man. Shelby Starnes said it the best, do whatever the overall winner would do. And in that aspect of things, if you get beat by a better bodybuilder that day, or a better fitness, physique, figure girl, bikini, whatever, go back to the drawing board, take your lumps, work harder, and come back and bring a better package. There's no sense of bragging yourself up and talking, how many friends will, because trust me, Facebook, it's nice to have you're posting your pictures. I post pictures every day. People are very, very complimentary. But I know at the end of the day, when I get on stage with a really, really good competitor, it doesn't matter what my Facebook friends say. It doesn't matter what my buddies at the gym say. It matters what the judges say. And if someone's better than you at that show, then so be it, man. Go back, train, and work hard. Because if you're just going to complain about the placings and cry about politics, then bodybuilding's not for you, man. And you hear it time and time again, even at the pro level. And, it just takes away from the wins, just like last weekend, at the Canadian Nationals, there's no way, in my opinion, that the guy that won the super heavyweight should have won. But it's bodybuilding, and of course it's political. But once again, you got a guy like Ron Parlow, 7-time runner-up, 7-time. And you don't really hear this guy, talking crap about getting ripped off, and, he carries himself like a champion, and he'll be, competing at the North Americans, this year in the over 35 and in the Super Open. So, hats off to Ron.
Blog Talk Radio, the world's largest online radio network.
Welcome, guys, to another episode of Fit Physique Radio, show number 50. Wow, man, 50 shows. Seems like only yesterday we started doing the Fit Physique Radio show, and I'm really excited that we've made it 50 shows so far, and hopefully at least another 50 more. Holding it back. In the back tonight is, like always, Sarah Soubliere and Reggie, the Relaxation Cat. So, once again, it's a great evening, Monday night, August 27th, just after post-tropical storm Isaac rolled through. I don't know if it's a hurricane now or what's going on, but it hit Ormond Beach a little bit, and not much action, just a little bit of rain, and just wind and stuff, and some waves. So it's been a pretty good day overall. We're very blessed. We never lost power. Tonight's show, I'm really looking forward. We're going to have Randy Tyner joining us tonight, finally. Randy's a bodybuilder. He lost his arm. He's also sponsored by Gasberry products, and Randy's going to be coming on talking about his bodybuilding career, what he's been up to lately. Canadian IFBB Pro 212 competitor Lou Joseph will be calling in and talking about what he's got going on way up there in Canada, and we're going to see what Big Lou's been up to. And then also calling in tonight, she's prepping for the North Americans. Christine Smithers will be joining us. She's competing in the women's physique class, so she'll be calling in the last half hour of the show. So I'm looking forward to a great show, and I'd like to give a big shout out to my sponsors.
Feel the surge. Advanced Genetics.
Access granted.
Committed to formulating innovative and high-quality nutraceuticals.
Their products do not hide behind proprietary blend or chase the newest fad.
We design them using perfect combination of science and real-world experience.
All of our products are manufactured in a quality-controlled GMP facility utilizing only the highest potency pharmaceutical-grade raw.
You should have won. But the bottom line is, guess what? It's a judgmental sport. It's an opinionated sport. So if you don't win because someone beats you that might be better and you can't handle that, then I suggest that you pick up a different sport. Bodybuilding and figure, fitness, bikini, whatever, it's not for you. Because on Sundays, nothing sucks worse than hearing crickets from people that were bragging about themselves leading up to a show, and then all of a sudden, you don't hear anything from them but, I got ripped off, I didn't do this, blah, 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 politics, yada, yada, yada. Listen, it's bodybuilding, guys. It's a judgmental sport, and that's what we're in, man. And you know what? It takes it away from the classiness of sports, being a good sportsmanship, and you know what I mean? Don't take it away from the person that beat you. I've been in over 21 shows, and I've dealt with politics, competing against presidents and vice presidents of federations and stuff. And, I felt that sometimes I didn't get a fair shake, but you know what? That's bodybuilding. It's judgmental. Time and time again, I hear people that, do a level 3 show and then they talk about getting their pro card. And, it's just really a pipe dream. And even if you get your pro card, where's that going to go? It doesn't, people that think they get the pro card and that people are going to come out and just, run out of, everywhere to sponsor you. Like, people, trust me, it's a pipe dream. You have to have a backup plan. I wish everybody the best of luck with everything they do, as far as competing and stuff. But the bottom line is you have to stay humble. And, I just ran into that situation with a client this week. She's getting ready for nationals. And I had to tell her, nationals aren't for you right now. You don't have the size, the shape. And at 11 weeks out from nationals, you don't have the conditioning and the muscle mass. So this person told me that, well, thanks for helping me. I'm going to get a new coach, which, I respect that decision. But people, you win a show, which you have 2 or 3 people in a low caliber, even if it's a level 5 show, and you win, look at who you're beating. People got to understand it's like a whole different level when you go to nationals. And I guarantee this girl I'm talking about, come November, won't even make top 10. Won't even make top 10. And no offense to her, but it's just the way it is. I'm a realist. I know my physique. I'm glad I missed the Floridas, even though I didn't think the Masters over 40 guys were, top notch, but they were great.
Materials.
Check out the new products from Advanced Genetics Pride, Alpha, and F10.
Go to advancedgenetics.ca
and get the genetic advantage today.
That's right. Big shout out to Chris Johnson, Advanced Genetics Army. Guys, check it out, advancedgenetics.ca. Best supplements out there. GP3 and the Nitric Impact will rock your world. And I got to tell you guys, it's just been part of my program for the last 14 weeks of prep, and I can't imagine doing it without the support of a great sponsor, and also the love and great support of just an amazing wife. And I'm so blessed to have everything rolling. A little bit of disappointment over the last few weeks, with not being able to, make it get in shape for these, the Dexter Jackson and the Floridas. And, it's been 14 weeks of, hard dieting, another 4 weeks left, and then I will be making my Masters debut and be competing in the Open for probably my last time in the Open class at September 22nd. The Battle on the Beach, Daytona Beach, NPC Classic. September 22nd, Peabody Center. And I competed at that show last year, lost to the overall winner, and, it was just a great experience, and, it was just a pleasure. Mike Matassa puts on a great show, and, just an honor to be able to compete and bring my best package to date. I'm so excited. I do believe that I should be in the best shape of my life come September 22nd. Right now I'm floating around 230-ish, 228, fluctuating. I feel like I'm in the best condition at this point of the show prep that I've ever been into, and the biggest I've been into. So I'm really happy with that. I know I got to kick it in high gear as usual, so I gave myself a couple, probably like 10 days of, eating some carbs. So now I'm back on the keto, basically full tilt, and back on the double sessions of cardio and training. And really, I'm just going to put all the effort into, to being my best. And, what it's all about when you compete, is to be your best, compete against yourself, not other people, man. And once again, every Every week after a show, man, it's the same BS. People posting pictures. Why didn't I win? Why didn't I win? Tell me who should have won, blah, blah, blah. Of course, you're posting pictures on your Facebook, and if it's your Facebook friends. So, of course, what are they going to tell you? They're going to tell you that